for Black Lives Matter, Healing Justice in just a breath. So I encourage you all of those that are joining us today, to just take a moment and breathe in life. We do it every day, but we do it so unconsciously. So we're taking in a conscious breath. We will be pouring libations. It's part of the African American culture passed down from our ancestors on the African continent. We pay homage to those who have come before us, the ancients, our guides, our wisdom angels that show up at just the right time, just at the right moment, through word, through song, through stars. So the libation ceremony starts with water. Water, which is 70, 80, 85% of every part of our body. Water that takes up this land called Earth. Water that fills us. So I pour this libation honoring water, a substance that without it, we would not be here. Ancient, and long before and long after our bodies are here, water remains. And I think about the ancient placenta, the mother, the womb. So we pour this libation representing the water elements, the earth, Mother Earth, from which we stand. I pour this libation honoring the stars and the moon and the galaxies that guide us, to keep us balanced and in sync with ourselves. It started yesterday. Oh, today, April the 1st. I pour for the new moon, new things happening. I pour this libation for the animal kingdom, the insects that keep this world balanced, the worms, the crows, the birds, the bees. I pour this libation honoring life in minuscule forms and in larger forms. I pour this libation honoring the life of human beings. Bringing into this field human beings that have come before us, that are in the process now, becoming ancient ancestors. Thank you, human beings, a life that informs us. We think it's just our parents, and it's parents, 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 parents. So I open this webinar with this celestial panel representing all of you on the chat, representing all those who will be singing this and humming this experience in the future. The future is now. So I honor my immediates, my father, Robert, my mother, Stella. Honoring my grandparents, honoring names and unknown names. And I open this chat to all those who are here with us. Please join. Mm. I pour this libation for the silent ones, those who cannot speak, those whose names we'll never know, those who are here because they needed to be here now with us.
My grandparents, Linda Campbell and Wilbert Campbell.
Ashe.
My mom a little bit.
Pour this libation for the wind I hear kicking up outside, reminding me that all things move and flow in a natural way. I honor the Fannie Lou Hamers, the Winnie Mandelas, the Harriet Tubmans, the Sojourner Truths, the Ida B. Wells. I honor the children, the Trayvon Martins, the Michael Browns. I honor the sisters, Breonna Taylor, Sandra Bland. I pour this libation in honor of the ancients, Queen Nzinga, Queen Hatshepsut. I honor the brothers and the sisters in the struggle. I honor the brothers and sisters celebrating personal struggle is over and they're free. Honor those who remain silent, whose ancestors are here holding us in this space, knowing that all is well. regardless of appearances. We are here, we are healing, and we are free. So for this and so much more, I say thank you to the ancestral realm, to the spirits who have opened this conversation, the first of continuing conversation. Thank you for being here. And I pass to Carlene.
Good evening and welcome, everyone. Thank you, Estella. That was so beautiful, and I really appreciated that space of quiet, the silence, honoring the silence. And I'm grateful for the spirit that have called each and every one of us into being. It is in that spirit that we live and move and have our very being, the vastness of a loving creator that is so much bigger than we could ever think or imagine, but it's goodness, it is love, it is peace, it is abundance, it is deep and abiding compassion and grace, deep and abiding um, mercy. And we are just so thrilled to have you join us, those who have come to be with us today. I see Sarah and Nadia and Linda and Kiara, Deborah and Deborah. See Ashley and Anthony, welcome, welcome, welcome. It is amazing to me that in all of the across time and space, trillions and gazillions of time. We call it year. We cannot quantify time because we don't know when time began, right? But that for such a time as this, we are here together in this space, and we are here with Kalisha and Day and Gija and Rebecca and Raymond, and you heard from Stella, and I am Carlene Griffith Sekou. I co-create this healing justice space with these amazing spirits and gifts each first Friday of every month. It is our healing justice space for Black Lives Matter, and it's just a gift to us. It is breath. We defy I can't breathe, and we affirm that we breathe and we honor our sacred breath. Um, our focus for the last month or three sessions, this is our fourth, has been collective imagination, the art of healing. And we have centered the ways in which our creativity and our imagination through the artistic realm has fed us, has held us, has sustained us, has regenerated us. Through the lament and the grief and the challenges. And we also affirm that we are here and sustained in joy. We are here and sustained in life, the life that we have been given and the life that we sustain in community. And it is true that we, as interconnected beings, interconnected with all creation, sustain one another, right? It is the divine in us. It is our material gifts and selves and the material creation around us from which we pull life to sustain ourselves and to sustain one another. Um, so we welcome you. That's really my only task, is to welcome you this evening and to say that we are excited that you are here, and we are looking forward to sharing this divine space with you. And we invite your liberty, your freedom. It is for freedom's sake that we have been made free. It is for freedom's sake that we are here. And so be fully free, engaged in any way that gives you life, in any way that you are comfortable to step in. We acknowledge what you write in the chat. Um, we consider you a part of this co-creative space as well. And we do not take it lightly that you are here. So thank you for joining us and sharing this space and time of your life with us. And so I'll turn it over to Day, um, who will lead us into our next clearing.
Well, I'll add my thanks to yours as well, Carlene. It's always wonderful to be here in this space with these amazing people and with you who have joined us. I know that we all look forward to your being here. And if you're here for the first time, please feel free to come and join us again. If you have been with us before, we are so happy to see you back. Tonight, we're going to be spending time talking about how to honor the fullness that you've been hearing about so far, and how to do that in a way that allows us to flourish even in this world where it makes it so hard for us to find joy, when it makes it so difficult for us to thrive, when there seem to be so many obstacles laid in our paths gleefully by others around us. And how do we navigate that? That's what we want to talk about tonight. And we want to do that in a way that helps us be able to ask ourselves how to center abundance and joy and healing, instead of focusing always on the struggle. Yes, the struggle is with us and it will be with us still, but how do we manage all of those things that are coming at us sometimes at warp speed, and still be able to cling to and grow our own sense of joy and happiness, because that's also a part of our story. And we want to make that, bring that to the forefront, so that celebrating and that flourishing becomes center instead of always the struggle. So how do we keep ourselves lifted? How do we keep ourselves lifted to our highest consciousness? Because as Estella was saying when we started, and as we heard in the song in our opening, we are the ancestors. We are the ancestors leaving writing on the wall. In the days that are ahead, in the generation that will come after us, they will read what we said and what message we left. And what is that message going to be? And how do we frame it in a way that shows the richness that is who we are as a people and who we are as individuals? Because that's going to be the most important thing that we pay forward for people. So tonight, what we're going to be asking is, what is our theology of healing? What's our theology that's going to allow us to be of service to ourselves, to our communities, to 7 generations from now? What will we do? How will we leave a path? And how do we do that in a way that leaves space, opens up a space, creates a space for those who will come after us, to begin to move us on and upward to that next level? That's also part of our work. So what messages are we leaving, and how do we build them? And how will that indeed allow us to contribute, so that we can be talking about, so where are we going, and what will we become, and how do we draw all that we are and integrate those ups and downs and those ebbs and flows to build a life that is the life that we would like for people to sing about, because we've left a story in song.
Ashe. Thank you, Day. Thank you for that. How are people arriving? If you all would let us know, how are you arriving today into this space? I'm speaking to those participants who have joined us. Where are you joining us from? You can let us know in the chat. Those are powerful questions indeed, Jija. Right here with me in Boston as I sit over the bridge in Cambridge. Hi, neighbor.
Yay. I'm here in South Bend in Indiana, northern Indiana, not far from the lake.
Yeah. Anthony is joining us from Detroit metro area. Wonderful. Hi, Deborah from Fort Washington, Maryland, a suburb of DC. It's great to
Lorenzo's
have
tapping in from
you.
Chicago.
Well, we're looking at people tapping in. Can you just sort of define theology for those who
Sure.
may not know it or
Sure. A
hold it?
theology is a philosophy of living. It's a big word. And it has all of those things that sound familiar to us. The sacred texts that we've read, the rituals we've performed, the songs that we've sung, and all to the purpose of helping us find some meaning in life and a reason for being here. We call it all different names, but it all exists under the umbrella of how do we create a theology of living? How do we do that?
Beautiful, thank you. Hi, Anne, from Boston, and Kalisha's in Nashville, and Cephas is tapping in from Oakland. You know, I appreciate that broad definition of theology because I grew up hearing it, and most, I think, understanding of the many understand theology as being our beliefs about God, right? That philosophy about a God, right?
Mhm.
Um, and it is. We are all rooted and grounded in. For those who are rooted and grounded beyond the self, beyond the ego, something higher, the divine
Yes,
beingness of our existence.
yes.
You know, theologies are created and established, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And it's made legible through sacred texts, through practice, through rituals, through
Yes.
embodiment, really,
Song
how
and
we live,
celebration and foods,
celebration, right?
dances.
Right,
Yes,
death rituals, life rituals, and
yes,
everything in between. Rituals
yes.
of feasting, right?
Mhm.
Rituals of the body, the washing, the cleansing.
Mhm. Mhm.
And if we attribute it to anything that is bigger than ourselves, that
Mhm.
we give deference and pay homage to, including, though, that divine within,
Yes,
right? It says
absolutely.
something about what constitutes our theology,
Mhm.
right? And so
Mhm.
that big idea, that big concept is really just about what we think about
Mhm.
God or the divine or something
For the
bigger than
divine,
ourselves.
yes, yes.
Typically anchored in traditions, right?
Mhm.
In
Mhm.
tradition, philosophies and traditions, if you, as you've said. But it's so vast and it's so
It
multiple,
is
right?
vast and and powerful because it allows us to draw on those things that are part of tradition, which is what we've covered so far and talked about this evening, and also gives us a roadmap that we can use to talk about. So what are we leaving for the seventh generation? What is it going to be? And
Mhm.
have we left space for them to add their own voice and their own flavor to it?
Mm.
I love what Carlene said about ritual, because
Mhm.
ritual ties us to our values,
Mhm.
and our values are tied to how we move in this world.
Absolutely.
Whether it's in a formal setting or an informal setting.
Mhm.
When I think, because of the training in my head, theology, I think about religion, but the way that you explained it, Day, and the way you explained it, Carlene, it was much bigger than that.
Mhm.
Anything that's greater than yourself,
Mhm.
that feeds you, that nurtures you, that allows you to tap into yourself in a different kind of way, um,
Yes.
and the ritual of that. So I would
Yes.
love to hear what some of the folks on the chat, what their theology is as well. Um,
Yes, we're there.
and because it's like when in this world, if we don't know what our anchors are,
We are blown away.
oh, ain't no telling where we're gonna float
Yeah.
off to.
Yes. There's no
But
telling.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, space cadet is a whole different conversation, you know?
Yeah.
So it's really important as we go beyond what the appearances are, which is
Yes.
what's really important for me, to go
Mhm.
beyond the appearance, to see what I know is true, um, and anchor that in my spirit.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm. Mhm.
my theology is connected to the earth. It breathes like I do, um, and it feeds me. It feeds me.
Mhm.
So part of my ritual, if I can just drop that in, my ritual, I'll be honest with you, I'm trying to do a ritual of just drinking water every morning. Drink
And
water every
yes,
morning.
yes, yes.
That is something that is greater than me.
Yeah.
I didn't make it, you know, it's there in abundant supply.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah. Gija,
That
feel free to come off camera and come on camera and say what you need. Estella, pardon me, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
no. I was reading what Baby Shug said, that the only grace that I can have is the one that I can imagine. That's my theology. I love that.
Mm.
I love that.
Mhm.
Ashe. Only grace that I can have is the one that I can imagine. Yeah.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah. You want to
That
say a
is
little bit
such
more
a
about that?
that is such a theology of abundance and spaciousness and fullness and richness, right? Antithetical to the fantasies that some would squeeze us into, right? That others would squeeze us into. But I'll let you jump in. I was that's riffing off my Audre Lorde that's popping up, that's bubbling up for me.
Yeah, just bubbling up there.
Well, you know, the great Toni Morrison said those words. And the baby Shugs who said it in the clearing, Reverend Carlene, you referred to
Yes.
this as the clearing. And I was like, wait, that's my theology. The grace that I can have is the grace that I imagine. But she says this after she invites the children to come to the space, and she says, "Mothers, children, let your mothers hear you laugh." And she says, "Fathers or husbands, let your wives see you cry." And then, oh no, sorry, see you dance. And then she says, "Mothers, let your husbands see you cry." And then after it just kind of interchangeably changed, and she asked the children to watch their mothers dance, and it just went back and forth. And I just was like, Baby Shugs is just embodying this like
Yeah.
ways to exist in ways that we don't have to ask anything outside of ourselves, as long as we can imagine it, as long as we can ask for forgiveness within us, then we can have it, it's ours. There's no need for any validation or confirmation from somewhere else.
Hmm. I love that. And, I was thinking of Audre Lorde that says, if I didn't define myself for myself, I would be crunched into other people's
Other
fantasies
people's
for me and
fantasies.
eaten
Yes.
alive, right?
Yes.
And, that divine quality that's within each and every one of us that formed us, we are made of this divinity, and that's my word for describing the infinite, the numinous, the lushness and the abundance that tends to life, that that is captured in the word dignity for me, right? Dignity, um, in all of the ways. And so thank you so much for reminding us of that, and that sermon, where Baby Suggs, Toni Morrison, tells us to love every aspect of our physicality, of our innards and outer beings, right? And most of all, to love our hearts, because our heart is the prize, right? Signifying the spirit and the way of being in this world, the way of being in life, our embodiment, our embodied self, um, the laughter, the dance, the joy, the cry, the hugs, the
All of it.
embrace,
All of it.
all of it, the
Yes.
fullness of who we are in and
Mhm.
through the vicissitudes of life, of life, and to create, and to create, right? For this is our capacity. It's not
Yes.
to just take what we've been given, right? But to
Mhm.
create and emerge wherever emerging. And Kalisha, as I see you sitting there, I'm wondering this question of theology.
I know. My brain is just like, oh my goodness, like, wow. As you all were speaking, and the idea or definition of theology came up, I thought about culture, and how culture for some defines how they see theology or their interpretation of it or how they engage it. And it's kind of that thought of like, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? Like,
Right.
does the
Right.
theology inform the culture? Does the culture inform the theology? And I forget who said it within our talk, but we define it. It's like we have to define that sense of theology for ourselves
Yes. Yes.
and construct it how we want to construct it. And I know, I heard, and I can't remember who said this again. I hear things and I'm like, who said that? But they said response to a spiritual voice creates an atmosphere. An atmosphere sustained creates a climate. A climate sustains creates a culture. A culture sustains creates a stronghold, the way people think. And I
Yes.
just think of the anchors and the values, that we're talking about and how those things are defined, and I challenge myself and others to say, what influences us? What shapes our sense of theology, ideals, values, and culture?
Mhm.
And check in with self and spirit to say, is this my definition of it?
Mhm.
Is this does this resonate with my sense of imagination or freedom or abundance and joy? And how the bigger conversation here, I believe, that we're having is what informs our healing, and I just think that that's just as unique as a fingerprint. you know what's going to define healing for you? And that takes us checking in with self, checking in with our sense of truth, our belief, and what works for us. I heard Estelle say water. I'm challenging myself with water, and it's like,
Mhm.
I absolutely love that. For me, it's my daughter. She's 8, and I know her sense of self is being narrated and created right now. So it's like, for me, it's creating that legacy, modeling that sense of a messy, loving human being, so that she'll have good foundation to build her own stuff on. So I can go down my many rabbit holes, but yeah, I love where the conversation is heading. I love that.
Mm.
Thank you for
Mm.
that. That is really rich, really, really rich.
That makes me think about, Kalisha, thank you for that, because it triggered, how do I anchor myself in love? Like, because we use that as a word, but it's like, but it's a verb, right?
And we use
So,
it as if it's a small word, and it's not.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
because rituals and culture anchor me in love. Like this
Mhm.
communion that we
Mhm.
have
Mhm.
is a ritual that anytime we're on it, it's the first, the second, or it's a ritual of us coming together as hearts and
Mhm.
souls to
Mhm.
heal.
Mhm.
And the healing is the loving of just not just me. I mean, it's like I
Right.
love all of these hearts that I'm seeing and
Mhm.
the ones that are here on the chat because they showed up to be in the same vibrational
space.
frequency.
Yes.
And because we're in that same vibrational frequency, we can't help but lift up. We can't help but go places that we've never gone before. So the rituals and the rituals that culturally have been anchored in love is the libation. You know, we bring in our reinforcers. You know, we bring in our guides and our angels. You know, I got grandmamas and great grandmamas that I'll never know their names, but I can feel them. And it's really such a blessing, because when I've gone to other cultures, don't connect with ancestors like folks I know connect with ancestors. You know, there may be connections with ritual in terms of getting on, because I was raised Catholic, getting on your knees 100 times and praying and doing the rosary and all of that, but that did not necessarily connect me to myself.
Right.
So when I think of, I love what Kalisha said, because it's like, does it feed me? Does it take me to a place that nurtures me? And what does that look like? How does it feel when you're nurtured? How does it feel when I have a higher thought, even though the circumstances look crazy?
That's right.
You know, what does it feel like to break free of the status quo of just negative thought and negative conversation, you know, or seeing something in a different way that even appears to be crazy? I mean, we've all been there before.
Yes.
You know, crazy has worked itself out beautifully for me sometimes.
Yeah, being told we're delusional when because we still have the desire to raise to that higher consciousness and still believe that it's possible, not only for us as individuals, but also for our community, whether that's writ small, like our family and our neighborhood, or whether it's writ large, like all of us as a people, to actually believe that and still work for it and create for it and move for it. Yeah, it looks delusional, but it opens the opportunity for richness and growth and joy, and people struggle with that notion. So you are absolutely right, Stella.
And I want to
I love being delusional now.
No, right?
I really love that notion that that came up, you know, despite
it makes me think about it's because
outside
everything
of
has
what
its
we
seasons.
see.
Everything has its seasons. How can you, when you've got 10 inches of snow in Chicago, I mean, you really got to be delusional about spring. But you know,
that is so true.
You know, and I want to be I want to be mindful too that in language that we use, you know, to categorize something as crazy, it isn't to be ableist, right? But and I think it also speaks to acknowledging that we can choose to live in altered states of being, right? Altered modes of existence, not to pathologize, because that's what systems and structures do to other and to pathologize and to disconnect those who need nurture and care in different ways than what we are used to, or that even we have capacity for, but it challenges us then to create anew, to regenerate anew, to imagine anew, to expand and enlarge ourselves, to nourish precious beings and lives among us that might be experiencing existence in ways that are different and beyond our capacity, right? And we have to find new ways. So I want to be really clear and augment and amplify what you're saying, Estella, but also acknowledge that we are not excluding any member or pathologizing any member. Only that which takes away deep love and connectedness and affirmation of our highest divinity and dignity. That is our role, our goal here.
that actually makes me think about prayer. I mean, it's what we all know. It's really what's incredibly common that we all accept. but it's how we move with it is how it moves, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
it's a channel that people would think, it's like, how do you pray for something to go away when it's there?
Mm.
Right. When it's already there.
But prayer is ancient, my name, I'm sure, was a prayer in someone's heart
Mm.
centuries ago. Um,
Mhm.
so, a lot can be said about the delusional mind, except that it's full of dreams. So, and that's a wonderful anchor to be able to dream. So
Yeah, I love that. I love that notion. Yeah, and and as you were, speaking about love, love is love. It's absolutely everything. It's essence, it's life, it's soil, it's water. It's the
Mhm.
creation of any and everything that's beautiful. And I remember, just as we talk about, healing in 2020, when of course everything happened for the world. Um, and sometimes we struggle to manifest that sense of love, you know, in the face of so many things. And I remember praying, right? Praying and saying, "Oh my goodness, how do we navigate this? How do we move forward with this? How do we not necessarily attack it, but how do we address it? How do we give voice to it?" And I feel my spirit just said, weaponize love. We're weaponizing so many things. How do we weaponize love? What does that look like? And that has anchored me. That's been my anchor as, as I move forward in this healing journey, and just to keep hold of my sense of humanity and connectedness, is
Yes, yes,
weaponizing that sense of love.
yes.
How do I attack with it? Viciously attack with
That's
it.
right.
And it's just
That's
like,
right.
oh,
That's right.
how do I teach this?
Love
How do I preach
fiercely.
this? Yes, love fiercely. And it's interesting too when you have to move in these places and spaces that, when we talk about trauma and we talk about all those really, really heavy words that we have to identify, we have to give voice to, these things are happening. Sometimes it's challenging to say, oh, like the Bible says, love your enemies. It's like, no. In this moment, I don't want to I want to do this. It's like, yes, but there's a way in which we can weaponize this notion and keep high with our spirits, our vibrations, our energies. And I'm just loving, for me, having that as an anchor and as the value as we continue to kind of talk about that and what defines it for us and how it manifests in our lives. So that resonates, with anyone. I just wanted to put that out there.
Weaponized love.
Yeah.
That's gonna stay with me for sure. And
Yeah.
that's a quotable, Kalisha.
That is.
Kalisha quotable.
I know, right? Get a t-shirt. I need to make a
Get the
Yeah,
t-shirt.
t-shirt.
when I hear you say that, I think of it interpersonally, but I also think about it as a collective mandate, right? If
Mm,
we collectively enter into that vibrational level, because we are also talking about an energetic level that through that
mhm.
and systems carry energies, right?
We
And I
do.
want to be
Mhm.
mindful. Systems,
Mhm.
organization,
Yes.
structures carry energy. They carry
Mhm.
spirit, some would language it that way, right? But if love is our energetic force and spirit,
Mhm.
I'm also coming to bringing Bob Marley is coming chanting down Babylon, right?
Mm, mhm.
Takes
Mhm.
on
Yes.
a place in our ethic and in our mode of
Yes.
being and
Yes.
in our work. Um,
Mhm.
in that way, that love is what undergirds, right, our movements, right? And I mean that in on
Mhm.
all the levels, our embodied movements, our interpersonal relationships, our organizational structures.
Yeah.
That is the force, right? And our movements, literally, our
Mhm.
movements is the force of our movements. Um, so thank you for that.
Mhm.
That is tremendous. That is tremendous, actually. I love that portal.
Oh, the
That's
greatest
what
of
it
these is
opens up.
love.
Yeah, that's what it opens. That's what it
Mhm.
opens up for me.
You know, it's funny about weaponizing love. I've got a lot of mental illness in my family. And I had a sister who was in the middle of an episode. And what I wanted to do was just, I was losing it. And I didn't know what to do. And all I could do was just go on this rant about I love you. I love you. I love
Wow.
you. I love, love, love you. You know?
Mm.
And it chased her up the steps. I mean, I didn't have to say anything. You know? I
Mhm.
didn't know whether she
Wow.
thought I was losing it too, or but I couldn't
Mhm.
go where,
Mm.
because those places, it's hard to come back from.
Mhm.
So the
Mhm.
love is a really wonderful anchor from
Mhm.
from any launching point. And it makes me think about switch words. If any of you are familiar with switch words, y'all
Mhm.
look up switch words. Switch
Okay.
words actually come from India, and they're words that bypass your conscious mind and go straight to your subconscious.
Oh,
Oh.
okay.
You have switch words for things that you want in your life to do, or relationships, or whatever. So there's a switch word when you want to complete something. It's done. You say done.
Mm.
Amazing.
That
This
was
is
perfect.
wonderful. And I,
But there's a switch word for relationships, and other combination of switch words is together divine love. Together divine love.
uh,
Wow. I love that. Powerful.
And that's what we're doing. We're bringing, there's also a bringing divine love. We are bringing divine love. That's the only healer here. you know? Um, and it has to start from within. That's the only real, I think. Um, so love. I say be love. I have a girlfriend who used to say be love. Just be love. I was like, but they did such and such. Just be love. I'm like, okay.
and I really do think that, and what does that look? We have to be so mindful, and that is the guiding uh, force of our being, right? That it is love, that consciousness always. Because then the question becomes, with every situation, what does love do?
Mhm.
At every turn,
Yes.
what does love do right
Mhm.
now
Mhm.
in the midst of whatever it is that challenges it? That's when it becomes real.
Mm. You brought up something really powerful there, Carlene. And I guess my question is this to everyone. Um, how do we properly love if we have had a challenge with loving self,
Mm.
right? Have you seen that where it's been easier to love something outside of yourself? So we think versus that sense of self-love, self-acceptance. How is it manifested in ourselves first? And I think honestly, I think about this as a busy mom, right? And I'm sure any of you all that are in this space with me, and how we, especially as Black women, how we can overwork ourselves to the core, to the core, to the
The
absolute core.
Yes,
I'm
yes.
there.
Am I loving my body? Am I
Mhm.
loving my sense of spirit? Am I loving my sense of mind by exhausting myself in the name of love? And, you know, I think I saw the NAP ministry. I saw the quote up there. Was it, I forget who has it up. I forget a lot of things, you guys. I'm trying to speak something else into my mouth. Gija, she has the NAP ministry as her screensaver, I believe, her picture. I absolutely love the NAP ministry and their theology and what they're preaching and teaching about, you know, rest being revolutionary and healing and restorative. And some of the very simple things, you know, like Estelle said, I need to drink more water. I'm loving my body by drinking more water. You
Mhm.
know,
Mhm.
I'm loving my body by resting it. I'm loving myself by affirming it. I'm affirming all the
Mhm.
beautiful things I see in my body versus I can see all the beauty outside of me. And
Mhm.
you know that the scripture in the Bible that says, you know, love others as you have first loved yourself. So we have to, in order to love, it's like I have to first love me. And then I can properly love ourselves. So I don't know. I want to throw that out there. It's like really checking in. How am I
Mhm.
showing up to love on me? Because I believe that that's the center stone, the foundation of our healing.
Mhm. Mhm.
We can't move past that foundation and talk about all these higher level places of
Higher
healing
level
if
places.
we
That's
can't
right.
first
That's right.
deal with that foundational stuff.
Mhm.
It's true. And I'm thinking of Ubuntu, and Ubuntu shows up in this space so much, so often, because we learn to be human through other humans, and we learn to love ourselves through how we are loved. And
Mhm.
often we have to relearn or learn anew how
Yes,
to love
yes.
ourselves,
Do those old
right?
lessons.
Yeah, we are born for love. We come from love. We are born out of love, and we need love, right? And often
Mhm.
because things are imperfect, we aren't necessarily born into that container that reflects back to us the love that we are, right? And Ubuntu actually means that we become human through other humans, through our relationship. And really, the subtext is a love and divine relationship that reflects back to you who you are, right?
Mm.
And that nourishes you and that loves you into being.
So is this
And
another
so,
relationship outside of self?
it's an interconnected, that the belief that there is actually a disconnection in relationship is a way of seeing the world. There are some cultures, ways of understanding that
Mhm.
don't believe in a disconnection, that the interconnection pre-exists and that we are connected if we understand it as such. So it isn't outside of the self, it's the self connecting to the other and the other connecting to the self that is already there, if that makes
Mm.
sense.
No, it makes total sense. It makes total sense. And that may be as we talk about higher levels of consciousness, that disconnect, right? The disconnect in wanting to love a people or a world or a society that's not reflecting that.
Mhm.
I'm wanting to connect, right?
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
Yeah.
want to connect on a human level. I want you to see me as human. And you know, for us and our ancestors and where we come from, like you said, Carlene, like that was just our way of being. Like that's in us, that's in our blood, that's in our DNA, and how we exist. We're tribal, we're cultural, we're community based, we're village, you know. Um, and I think that has definitely been the challenge navigating spaces in our Black bodies. I want to love. I want to, you know, um, but still, even with that, and I think for me, that's where that weaponizing love comes from. I have to allow the love in me to shatter the hate in you, even if you don't want to do it for yourself.
Yeah.
and how I
Yeah.
connect with you, you know?
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. I actually wrote a poem called Black Love is Bigger Than White Hate, because it is big. I just wanted to touch on what you asked, because when I teach, or when I taught in juvenile hall, and when I teach in the continuation school where I volunteer now, I have never had a class that did not ask me what is love. I've never had a class that did not ask me what is love.
No.
And what I do is to connect them to consciously connect them to love. And I usually, but I just thought about this exercise I'm going to do with them, which is, so what I do with them is I tell them right now what's loving them. I just ask them what's loving you. Connecting with something greater than yourself. You made your eyes. Oh, you made your ears, right? Oh, and then you gave the mechanism so you could hear. Oh, that breath you're taking right now, was that voluntary or did you bring it forth? And what does that breath have to do with that tree outside? What about what's underneath your feet? You just tell me. Is it holding you? So we connect with love because we are, as Carlene said, we are that. We were given everything that we needed without cash dollars. It's on the earth. So when we can connect.
Oh no.
Oh, I was moving.
I
Oh,
was
no.
on with bated breath.
I was riding that wave.
It's like, Lord, have mercy. How did sometimes you ride in a limousine, but you ask for it. You ask for this life, and as I always say, my kids in juvenile hall, they said life as an acronym is love is found everywhere. Love is found everywhere.
Wow. Yes. I love that, Estella. Thank you so. Oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Love is found everywhere. Just open and receive and be conscious and find it.
Oh, that is beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm enjoying this so much. This is nourishing and it is beautiful and rich. And I would like to intentionally invite Jija into the space to gift us with an offering that she's
Yes,
prepared
indeed.
for us. Yeah.
This was such a rich conversation, and so I'm hoping rather, that this offering that I do bring in this meditation soundscape will embody the words of these women, these bodies who have just spoke life into us. And so in this moment, I ask in your rooms, wherever you are, that you hum with me. I come from a Pentecostal background, and oftentimes if an elder would grab the mic to tell you her or his testimony, they would start with a song that they didn't really know the words to. And so there would be a moment in which they would start to hum. And because we respect our elders, we don't correct them. Rather, we would hum with them. And so in this moment, as you will be learning the words as you go along, just hum with me, and let that be a listening practice in which you listen to your own body, asking the questions, what does love look like and feel like to you? What is your theology of living? And so this offering is called Unsolicited Advice. You can hum with me in your room as loud, as big as you can, or as quiet, or just listen. So once I asked a tree for wisdom, and the tree looked down at me raised its arms to the wind, and it said to me these words. Your wisdom will be when you say, I do not know. Your beauty will be when you say, my name is. Your being will be when you say, I am. Your freedom will be when you say, I let go. I'll say it again for the people in the back, yeah. Your wisdom will be when you say, I do not know. Your beauty will be when you say, my name is. What is your name? My name is G-Jar. Your being will be when you say, I am. And your freedom will be when you say, I let go. I let go. And so this part is where you sing some affirmations with me. But before then, I'll tell you the story, another story. My kaka tells me that my cousin just passed, tells me that my cousin just drowned. She tells me that I cannot tell his mother, my auntie. Tells me, but because she is pregnant, they are scared for what may happen to the baby. But see, morning come and nighttime go. And my akaka is getting dressed for the funeral. She tells me I cannot come. Tells me that I must stay to console my auntie, and I look at her with confusion and ask her why a mother isn't attending her own child's funeral, and she looks at me and she says, in our culture, a pregnant mother isn't allowed to attend a funeral. And because I overthink, I began to think about when we are pregnant with dreams, how we are pregnant with goals, how we must not hang around dead places, dead people, or dead things, how we must be very protected to the seed that has been birthed within us. Sometimes if we don't know the words, sometimes if we don't know the words, sometimes if we don't know the words, we hum. Sometimes if we don't know the words, we hum. Don't know the words, we hum. So repeat these affirmations in your room as loud as you can, or to yourself. Let it be a prayer. Let it be a dream. Let it be a goal. Whatever it is that speaks to you, I want you to repeat it to yourself. And then if you can, share in the chat box an affirmation beginning with I am. We began this saying, I am that I am. And that itself is powerful prayer enough. So we're going to say, I am here. I am here. Can you say that with me? Yeah. I am here. Can you say I am being? I am. It's called human being, not human doing. I am being. I am being. Because I love to remind myself how free I am. I say I am free. I am free. Last time, make it real big, make it real big. I am. Mommy said, shine your light on the world. Shine your light for the world to see. I want black people. I want black people. I want black people to be free, to be free. to be free, to be free, to be free, to be free. I want black people. Shine your light for the world to see. Shine your light for the world to see. To be free. Shine your light for the world to see. Sometimes we don't know the words we hum. I want black people to be free. Don't know the words to be free. I want black people. Sometimes we don't know the words we hum. That is unsolicited advice. The next offering that I want to bring is kind of an experiment. Oftentimes, I think my work is centered around the stories, the folklore, the griots, who often go unnamed when we repeat their stories, whose stories have often been watered down. And I feel the calling. I think my theology is just remembering a lot of the stories that they offered to the world. A lot of the stories that they wanted us to hear, to learn about ourselves, to learn about the great beyond us, to learn about being. And so this will be an experiment here. You'll hear the voices of Sun Ra, my grandfather, and stories that have come to me in dreams. And so this question, this soundscape is answering the question, who are you uninterrupted? And so in the chat box, if you can put or answer, who are you uninterrupted? And it is okay to say, I do not know this very moment. There is nobody that you have to answer but yourself, okay? So who are you uninterrupted? And just a little bit background about that. I was watching this show called Lovecraft, and one of the main characters was asked the question, who are you uninterrupted? And it really stuck with me because a Black woman was being asked that. And oftentimes, I think Black women, we exist for everyone but ourselves, going back to Kalisha's question. The many ways that we learn to love is through giving to others, and oftentimes ourselves are never in that equation. And if it is, it's usually out of guilt, sometimes out of shame. And I think growing up, it's been about unlearning what it means to love self outside of the gaze of shame and guilt. And so who are you uninterrupted? Let's answer that. Who are you uninterrupted? Who are you uninterrupted? Who are you uninterrupted? Who are you uninterrupted? Uninterrupted. Who are you uninterrupted? Who are you uninterrupted? Uninterrupted. Who are you uninterrupted? Who are you uninterrupted? Who are you uninterrupted? Who are you uninterrupted? Are you at rage? Are you at war? Are you at peace? Are you dancing? Are you resting? Are you living? Are you being? Are you loving? Are you loving? Are you laughing? Are you in joy? Are you happy? Who are you uninterrupted? Who are you uninterrupted? Who are you uninterrupted? Who are you uninterrupted? Are you at rage? Who are you? Are you at war? Who are you uninterrupted? Dance? Who are you uninterrupted? Who are you uninterrupted? Are you being? I took a trip from South Carolina to North Carolina. And on this trip, I saw a field, and this beautiful field had a gate around it. And this gate in the corner had cows, and these cows stood only in the corner. And I seemed to ask myself why these cows had an abundance of field, and yet they stand in the corner. And just like that, the Holy Spirit reached down to me, and she said, are you at rage? Well, you stand in the corner when I have given you this abundance of field to take up. Who are you uninterrupted? Who are you uninterrupted? Who are you uninterrupted? Who are you uninterrupted? When is the last time you played? I mean, really played. Not played pretend, but just played. Are you at war? See, I played pretend often, creating worlds that put dark-skinned Black women as the lead, and she doesn't come from trauma. She doesn't save anyone but herself, and she just is. She just is. See, I played with fire once, watched my mother yell, do it again. as if to say, why were you there in the first place anyways? I played with my sister over the summer. We talked about boys and goals and love. Who are you? Uninterrupted. And see, I played small once, watched myself shrink into the size of a mustard seed and convinced myself that it was fake. Watched me crumble to fit the comfort of others and make it hard to move comfortably. I told myself that I would never do that again. Who are you? Uninterrupted. 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 And these are the words of Sun Ra. There is no death, not for my children. They would dare to teach that I let my children die, that my children die. I own everything that pertains to life. I can forgive everything that pertains to life. Why should I let my children out to death? Why should I let my children not be? I love life. I love the children who are alive. They're mine. Why shouldn't they live? I want them to live. If only they knew. 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 Who are you? Uninterrupted. Who are you? Uninterrupted. Who are you? Uninterrupted. Who are you? Uninterrupted. May you learn to accept love in the midst of fear. May you submit to the unknown, allowing what is to come to be and to be in what's to come. Welcome the fear, the confusion, the unlearning and relearning. May you be safe from harm and wrapped around the comfort that heals, challenges, and encourages you. May you fully receive it in its fullness, in its rawness. May it grant you happiness and realness and rest, and rest, and rest, and rest, and rest, and rest. Who are you? Uninterrupted. 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 I love this chat box going. I wanted to kind of read it out. Let me do it. Let me do it. Who are you? Uninterrupted. I am a daughter, a sister, a friend who continues to search how far I can go with creativity, whether it is playing piano or drawing a picture or reading a poem. I can dance. I can dance. I can dance. I am that I am. Yes, yes, I am that I am. I am curious. I am determined. I am seeking, but I know I can come home and be my friend because I'm a great listener. Who are you? Uninterrupted. Who are you? Uninterrupted. Who are you? Uninterrupted. Who are you? Uninterrupted. I love that record. Who are you? Uninterrupted. I love that question. Yeah, let's answer that in the chat box. Who are you? Uninterrupted. I need to know. We could create a prayer right now in this very moment, just answering the question, who are we? Uninterrupted. I see I am joy, uninterrupted. Come on. Yes, indeed. I am joy. I'm loving it. I need more words in the chat box. Who are you? Uninterrupted. Who are you? Uninterrupted. There's about 15 of us on here. I am peace. Come on now. Who are you? Uninterrupted. I am light. Come on. I am healing. Yes, yes. Yes, yes. Who are you? Uninterrupted. So that is coming on in the chat box. I am you. Yes, indeed. Going back to Ubuntu. Indeed. I am glow. I am listening. Come on. So the last track requires, I wish we were all in the same room. And this is a very easy tune. I love to do a lot of call and response. And if we were in the same room together, I would tell you to say these words. If I say I go, you would say I may. And so that just means that, are you here? And your response is, yes, I am here with you. That's just a calling that we do in our culture, in the Ghanaian culture. So I go, and you would say, I may. Let's try it. I know you can't say it out loud, but let's try it in our rooms. Ready? I go. Yes, I see mouths moving, so I know it's being said. All right, so this last affirmation that I want to do with you guys requires your help a little bit. And so Yeah, let's do it. All right. The words are: tell yourself that you're worth it. Tell yourself that you are. Tell yourself that you love you. Tell it, tell it. It is a prayer. I'm calling it that. Once again, tell yourself that you're worth it. Tell yourself that you are. Tell yourself that you love you. Tell it, tell it. What is our theology of living? Tell yourself that you're worth it. Tell yourself that you are. Tell yourself that you love you. Tell it, tell it. Come on. Tell yourself that you're worth it. Tell yourself that you are. Yeah. Tell yourself that you love you. Tell it, tell it. Said if you love yourself, clap your hands. Said if you love yourself, clap your hands. Said if you love yourself, you know your worth, clap your hands. Clap your hands, yeah. If you love yourself, clap your hands. Said if you love yourself, clap your hands. Said if you love yourself, you know your worth, clap your hands. Clap your hands, come on, sing it. Tell yourself that you're worth it. Tell yourself that you are. Tell yourself that you love you. Tell it, tell it. So listen, the sun shined bright today. It didn't ask the moon's permission, neither did it dim her light, but she still shined. Not in Boston, but she shined somewhere. And so I wonder why humans choose to dim their light to make others comfortable, why they choose to blend amongst clouds when they shine too bright for that. They shine too bright for that. So I asked them, you can be humble, but the sun, it doesn't apologize for shining. So why should you? Why should you? Tell yourself that you're worth it. Tell yourself that you are. Tell yourself that you love you. Tell it, tell it, come on. Tell yourself that you're worth it. Yeah. Tell yourself that you are. Tell yourself that you love you. Tell it last time. Come on. Tell yourself that you're worth it. Tell yourself that you are. Tell yourself that you love you. Tell it last time. Said if you love yourself, clap your hand. Said if you love yourself, clap your hands. Said if you love yourself, you know your worth, clap your hands. Clap your hands. Give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you so much for having me. This was such an amazing experience and rich conversation. I hope you answered the question, what is your theology of living? I love that. Y'all be blessed.
Wow. Thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Standing ovation. Thank you.
Let's show Jicha some love. My goodness. Yes. Thank you so much. We receive it, every bit of it. That was saturated in love.
If I could just add on to the chat was like jumping. Kalisha, before she left, was saying, I am wisdom in terms of being uninterrupted. I am mother. I am joy. I'm here peacefully and joyfully and thankful for all of you from Vancouver, Washington, suburb of Portland, Oregon. Kalisha was thanking everyone, and she'll see us next time. Thank you, Dr. Kalisha. Astrid, thank you for this moment. Thank you for that moment. Thank me. I mean, I'm thanking me. I had to tell myself that I'm worth it. It's like it works, doesn't it? Nadia says, thank you. Deborah Hall is giving you all kinds of claps. I am loving it. Lorenzo's got goosebumps. Thank you. That was so incredibly healing. I'm going to get really quiet. Thank you. I'm letting this one simmer.
worth it.
Gija, can you tell people where to find you, just in case? Is there a way for
Yes,
people to
I'll
know?
put it in the chat box.
Yes, and tell us, go ahead and tell us about what you're doing and how you want to continue to create and how we can support you and love you through and in all of this beauty.
Oh, thank you. So currently, I'm working on a project called The Wilderness and also African Folklore. And the African Folklore Project is centered around the folklore and griots in Ghana. And so I will be visiting Ghana in the next couple of months and recording a whole lot of storytellers. And my goal is to record and archive a lot of the stories that are told in the native tongues that they're told and translate them in ways of the same way that the impact of the Bible has had, recording our stories in that way, and so that our children and the next generation and us can listen to these lessons that our elders are holding onto, and almost kind of give us secret codes to the future. And I am doing a fundraiser right now, trying to fundraise $7,500 to support an organization that's doing the work of reenacting the stories while I record them, or excuse me, they're doing separate work of reenacting the stories, and I'm recording the stories that the elders are saying. So it's similar work, but they're an organization that's already doing that in Ghana, and currently needing some support. And so this is my way of raising funds to record it and also like give them the funds to continue doing this work, because I think this work is really important. I'll also put my Instagram and my website, which is also where you could find more information about what I'm doing and how you can support me. If you can't support financially, please share with your family and friends. I think this work is really important. And yeah, I would love for people to just stay in touch and hear the stories, the wonderful stories, powerful stories that are being told and retold. Thank you.
Shay, thank you so much. And you've dropped your links in the chat. Have you done that? Yeah. Okay. I can't see it on my end, but Ashe, and please do. Okay, I see it now. Please do support this, and we'll definitely talk some more, Jija, about this important work, this ancestral work, this spirit work. Whew, I'm full, y'all. I am. I'm not drinking water anymore. I'm drinking lemonade. Lots of water in the lemonade, though.
Mm.
Beautiful. Mm. Thank you all for joining us. This was so beautiful. One of the great things about this space is that we submit ourselves to it, to the call, and we bring our offerings and our gifts, and we do our due diligence and discern and divine what it is that we need, what our communities need. And then it ends up being that and so much more that we cannot ever plan for. And that is a gift to us. It's a gift to all of us. And we are grateful to God, our ancestors, the divine, to spirit, beingness of community, um, and to each of you for all you bring with us, your energy and your spirit. We will meet again. It's 8:24, so we're winding down. And I just want to remind you that we're here every first Friday of each month. And the next one is May 6th. I believe the first Friday falls on the 6th. For June, it is Friday, June 4th. And we will continue to talk on in May. We will focus on mental health, Black mental health, and we will be very intentional with Dr. Kalisha, our team here, and others to talk about the state of mental health and really talk about what it is, right? And certainly highlight and make legible what our needs are and how it is that we can um, offer um, support and healing spaces um, within community. That is a huge concern for us, and it's important that we access mental health support um, where we are, where we live. And it's also important to know how to nourish and nurture our own mental health. That is part of loving who we are and loving ourselves. So we will be intentional about focusing on Black mental health for the month of May. And so I look forward to being with you all then. And I'll step back, and if others have anything they want to offer as we pivot to Day, Estella.
Oh, I just want to say thank you. I always want to say thank you. I always want to just, just my soul is so satisfied. Um, Jija, I'm still singing about my worthiness. And what's interesting? The thought was, I wonder if people on the African continent have the same issues about freedom and self-worth. I mean, are we just all, are the questions different? I mean, it's just an exploratory thing. And just mental health. I mean, I'm just wondering, how do we collectively heal from that? I know when I went to Brazil, they don't see it the same way that we see it. They always see it as a spiritual crisis. So I look forward to the expansion of how we heal our how we know. That's better. How we really know and anchor the truth is really where I just want to go on that one. So thank you. Thank you, Carlene. Thank you for everyone who made this possible. Raymond and Rebecca, as usual, and Day and Kalisha's gone. And I just want to say thank you.
Thank you. I just want to echo that, Stella. This space, to be Black women in this space and calling on Baby Shug's word and creating the grace that we imagine for ourselves, I just think it's okay. I'm echoing the words of Stella here, saying thank you, and also repeating and saying that the words of Baby Shugs to for all of us Black women to be here and creating that grace that we imagine for ourselves. I find it so powerful and so important work. So thank you again for organizing this event. And Rebecca and Raymond, who's in the background, I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all so much.
Yes, let's definitely lift up Raymond, who does so much and makes it possible, along with a wonderful team at the Global Network. We are so grateful for each of you and for your spirit. Raymond is just beautiful. So thank you. And Rebecca, thank you so much. You just are amazing and wonderful and a tremendous gift to us. Um, Deep gratitude to you, Day and Estella. Just love, 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 love. That's what comes up. Love and Jija, more love. Until next time, we look forward to regathering. Until then, tell yourself that you love you. Tell it, tell it.
That's right.
Hum it if you have to.
Yourself that
Hum
you're
it
worth
if you don't have the words. Just hum it.
Just
It's
hum
right
it.
there in your
Just
soul.
hum along and
Okay.
dance. Absolutely. Just hum along and dance.
Yes, yes. And so we have an offering to take us out. Can we cue that up? Yeah.